everybody, it's Monster, and I am back again with another headphone review. Today I'm going to be talking about a vintage headphone that's kind of hard to find, and not too much is out there about these. This is the Sennheiser HD250 Linear 1. It's kind of a mouthful. You can see it there. This was made back in, I believe it's the early to mid 80s, and I think they discontinued it in 91. And then they brought out the Linear 2, which I assume is kind of the same sounding headphone, but don't quote me on that. This puppy is 300 ohms with a 94 sensitivity. There is apparently 600 ohm versions, but I've not heard those. I've only heard this pair right here. So let me tell you about these. So kick back, relax, and enjoy, and we'll talk about this really, truly remarkable sounding headphone. All right, so a little background. About a year and a half ago, I was reading through the various headphone forums, and I came across a thread entitled the Sennheiser HD250 Linear 1. And it was started by a Headphone member named Malfunct. And in his thread, he was comparing the Linear to the HD650 or the 6XX. And he was saying that essentially it sounds kind of similar to that, but with better extension on either end. And I've always kind of been a fan of the 650. So I kind of kept an eye and an ear open for the 250, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it because, I mean, frankly, a lot of people rave about headphones and they say that they're the greatest thing ever. And then I get a chance to listen to them and I'm just like, oh God, these are terrible. So people, I'm not saying people are wrong, it's just not my taste often. I shouldn't say that. My tastes sometimes are different than other people's. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, so a couple days later, I'm cruising the classifieds of another website who specializes in vintage audio. And lo and behold, there was the Sennheiser HD250 Linear 1 for sale, including shipping for $75. And I looked at it, and I'm like, this is the headphone I was just reading about the other day. And then I saw the price, and it was $75 shipped, and I'm like, for $75, this thing's going to sound like garbage. I mean, any good headphone isn't going to sound good for $75. But on the flip side of it, it was only $75, so I said, screw it, and I bought it. And I got it a few days later, and I plugged it in, and I was thoroughly impressed with this thing. I was really surprised at how good these headphones sound. I have no idea. I can't seem to find any literature or documentation as to how much they cost when they were new. I don't know the differences between the 300 ohm and the 600 ohm. And I don't know the differences between the Linear 1 and the Linear 2. For all I know, they could all sound identical. I have no idea. So if you're watching this and you've got a Linear 2 or a 600 ohm, and you want me to check it out, you want to send it to me, I'll take good care of it, and I'll do an A/B, and I'll report back. Anyway, so I don't even know how much these cost originally. But it was a small price to pay, and for $75. And I got these, and I immediately tried them on one of my vintage receivers, because again, these are 300 ohms, and they're 94 sensitivity. So they need some juice. They're not as hard to drive as the sextets are, but they still need some power. And at 300 ohms, the vintage receivers are a good match. And they sounded great. They sounded really, really good. I then tried it on my La Figaro 3392 tube amp, and it jumped from like here all the way up to here in sound quality. I was really shocked. And I thought I had reached the maximum that I could reach with these headphones. And then a couple months ago, I bought a new OTL amp from Glenn, called the Glenn OTL, or the GOTL. And that amplifier took these to even way up here. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you these sound like $2,000 or $3,000 headphones, and I got them for $75 shipped. Anyway, let's get into the build quality and the comfort of these. These are very light headphones. It feels like, almost feels like a toy. They're so light, and they're plastic everywhere. And if I'm going to say anything negative about these headphones, it's going to be with the way they look. They look like toys. They look like garbage. They look like something that you would find at Walmart for $49. But don't let the cheap plastic and kind of ugly, if I'm going to be honest, appearance of these fool you. They've got a leather headband. The cups are very shallow. They're very shallow, if you can see that. And then on the inside, it's got a felt liner on the inside. I have read that some people that have these are having trouble getting a good seal for the bass. Knock on wood, I have not experienced a lack of seal even with my glasses. And if there was any more bass coming out of these would be almost bass head headphones. So, if you have these and you're having a tough time with the seal, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you because you're missing out. These are approximately 30, almost 35, 40 years old. And obviously they're still going strong for me. But again, it's all plastic and it doesn't scream luxury. So these are not headphones that I would be comfortable taking out in public or taking to work, even though they are a closed back design. I would be afraid that these would fall apart. But again, they're almost 40 years old and they're still working good for me. So how do these sound? One word. Well, 2 words. Fucking brilliant. These headphones are so good. They're a very, I'm hesitant to say the word neutral. Because as I've described in my other videos, my other reviews, neutral oftentimes means bass light. But if you look at the graph of these headphones, it's pretty neutral. This headphone has got incredible extension on both ends. So you have really deep diving sub-bass in these. And because of that, I like to compare it to the LCD2, which also is known for its prodigious sub-bass. The mid-bass slams with good authority. It doesn't hit as hard as, say, like my Atticus. But sometimes the Atticus almost hits too hard for some songs. So when I say that it doesn't hit as hard as the Atticus, that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. The mids on these are slightly recessed. I wouldn't go as far as to call it V-shaped per se, When I picture an EQ graph and somebody says V-shape, I picture a canyon. These are kind of more like a puddle when it comes to the mids being recessed. They're slightly pushed back, but not offensively so. The treble is super detailed to the point where on a few songs it can get a little bit bright. It doesn't kill me like some bigger dynamic headphones do, but it can be a little bit bright. But again, you are dealing with a headphone that is incredibly transparent. So if the song is bright, you're going to hear bright. If you've got a bright solid state aspirated, if you have neutral or above tubes, you're going to hear it. So when I had my La Figaro 339, that was an incredibly warm sounding amplifier. And the tubes I had in there were kind of warm too. And my DAC at the time was an Audio GD Arta R11, which is warm. And I've since changed most of my setup. So now I'm kind of running a neutralist bright DAC with a very transparent amp. In these, like I said, if the song is old and sharp, you're going to get a little bit of that sharpness in the treble, but it's not piercing at all. But the detail on this, it just goes all the way up. And you can hear details. I'm still picking up stuff after all these years on these headphones that I've never heard before in other songs through other headphones. The tonality of these is, I don't like this word because it doesn't really mean anything, but I can't think of another word. The tone is very sweet. It's a very sweet, musical sounding headphone. And to be perfectly honest, I would say that other than the HE6, which I used to own, this is probably only the second headphone that I've ever owned that I would consider a true all-around headphone. In other words, I can play any genre I want, and it's going to sound good through these headphones. Now, I have other headphones that do certain genres better, like my Sextets and my Atticus do metal better than these. But these do not fall on its face for metal. They're fairly quick. They've got great slam, great extension on both ends, and as I said, the mids aren't that far back, so you're not losing, that aggressive guitar sound. It has great texture. It's got great tonality. The soundstage for a closeback is brilliant. I mean, it comes out, not only does it come out really wide, but you get a lot of up and down and back and forth with these. These are great headphones. These are almost like my favorite headphones right now, and I got them for $75. These scale really well. So if you're listening to my words, and you go out and you plug them into a Chord Mojo or a Magni 2 or 3, or you plug them right into your phone, you might not be as enthusiastic about what you're hearing as I am. But if you feed these with a good amp, especially an OTL, these love tubes. These fucking love tubes. So if you've got an OTL and you're looking for a new closeback that's got great extension, that can do any genre well, you need to check out the 250 linears. These are so good. In his thread, Malfunct mentioned that they're similar to the HD650s. In my opinion, these blow the 650s out of the water. In fact, my 650s are over there behind the camera in a box. I sold them last night because I never listened to them because these are, in my opinion, that much better. In my opinion, I'm probably going to get some heat for saying this, these sound the way that the original pre-phaser Odyssey LCD2s should have sounded. Because you've got that massive sub-bass extension with these as you do with the LCD2s. So it is a logical comparison. You got that sub-bass that just keeps going and going and going. You think LCD2. Well, now I think these. The mids on these, in my opinion, are better than the LCD2s, and the treble, it's not even close. To me, this is the way the LCD2 should have sounded. That's how much I like these. Rock, folk, metal, trance. These things are epic with trance. They're so good with trance. It's like, holy shit. It hits hard. The extension goes down. The three-dimensionality of the soundstage. The imaging. It's all right where you want it to be with trance. It's like, oh. Like I said, I've yet to play a genre through it, and I was kind of underwhelmed with it. I haven't done one genre yet that this can't handle really well. You can occasionally find them on eBay. I've seen a few of them go new in the box. I don't have the box, unfortunately. I've seen them as low as $180, and I've seen them as high as like $500. So I don't even really know what these are going for. I know there's one on HeadFi right now in the classifieds for $260, I think it is, and the guy can't sell it. And I've told people, dude, you need to go buy this headphone, and it's still sitting there. So I don't know. I don't know what a fair price for these is. These certainly do not have as rabid of a fan base as the Sextets do. And I keep comparing them to the Sextets because they come from essentially the same era. These are a little bit newer than the Sextets, but not by much, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. So I really don't know what a fair price for these is. Based on sound quality, like I said, through my Glenn tube amp back here, these things sound like $1,500, $2,000 headphones to my ears. So if these broke today, I would gladly plunk down $250 or $350 or even $450 to get another pair of these. That's how much I like these. So anyway, this is a rather short and quick review. I don't know a lot of the history of these headphones. I do know that Sennheiser recently brought out, within the past couple days, in fact, the Sennheiser HD3, I think it's the HD. It's the 300, and they claimed it was supposed to be based upon these. And it's early, and only a few people have the new HD300s. I think it's HD. I don't know. I'll just say HD, and if it's not, you can crucify me. Only a few people have had a chance to hear the HD300s. But the people that have said it's not even close to these. So that's a bit of a disappointment, because I was hoping to get a brand new, updated version of these, and apparently it doesn't even come close. So, I would stick with the originals. Again, I don't know if there's a difference between the Linear 1 and the Linear 2 as far as the sound goes. Further, I don't know if there's a difference between the 300 and 600 ohm versions. So, what I'm talking about is the Linear 1 300 ohm. I get a good seal, and I'm certainly not missing bass on these. Not at all. So, anyway, that wraps up this short review of my Sennheiser HD250s. This has been Monsterzero, and I'll see you again next time.